Just had a fantastic sit down with Ed Bennison from Arigo. Now, Ed's a mechanical engineer, but also he has an industrial design background and used to work for Prana and Bunjil Energy in the early days. So I've known him for quite a while. Ed's an engineer's engineer, and what they're doing in Arigo is some pretty interesting stuff in regards to providing complete actual construction packs and detailed job packs for their customers. We talked about his time in Korea and Japan, his love of golf, bushwalking, and of course snowboarding, and everything you can possibly think about when it comes to renewable energy and electrical engineering. So without further ado, sit yourself back, strap yourself in, and let's get stuck into it. And remember, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Greenwood Academy and to YouTube. I've always wondered about the name Arigo.
Yeah.
And that's the business that yourself and Rowan own. Are you co-owners of the business?
Yeah, co-owners of the business, yeah.
What kind of structure are you talking about here? It's a company?
Yeah, so company structure, just a 50-50 standard sort of split. So, we sort of started it when Prana went under, mainly to help some of the clients that were affected when that happened, because we didn't want to dive straight back into working for another EPC at the time. But yeah, the name Arigo, we probably spent about 3 hours trying to come up with a name.
Is that all? That's pretty short, actually.
It's pretty short, and we ended up just going to a random name generator. And we wanted to pick something that was, I guess, non-renewable specific, that was short, had no website, that was easy to say. Started with A was a benefit as well. But it was really just a name that we didn't want to be a green, a clean, something that's really common in the industry.
That can pigeonhole you though, can't it?
Yeah, pigeonholes us a bit. So Arigo Consulting, it's broad in nature. So we sort of offer current services and we look at expanding. So we didn't want to be a solar engineering co. That only specialises in solar, or you'd only expect them to do solar. So that's sort of where the name came from, and it just stuck. It's very, very easy to say. The website wasn't taken, so those were a couple of the points that we just went, great. That awesome.
It is easy to say, and I always think when I say it in my head or out loud, it has a sort of like a slightly Spanish connotation. But I love it. I love it.
Well, we when we did look up the name Arigo, there was one entry in Wikipedia, and I think it's Z Arigo, and he was a psychic faith healer and a proponent of the rusty knife surgery. We went, great, that sounds awesome. So
that's great. Oh, you've just conjured up images for me of those, those faith healers where they fold the skin and suddenly this cotton ball full of whatever's coming out, and they say it's entrails. Yeah, that's great.
So we were proponents of the rusty knife surgery. So look, it's a good name, and it sort of has grown as the company's grown, and we'll continue with it. So.
Was it easy? Like, if Prana hadn't gone the way it's gone, and Prana, for the listeners, was a company that was owned, I think, by Jared Conroy, and did fantastic work, and they were associated with Bunjil as well.
Yep.
Excellent, great reputation. Unfortunately, due to whatever situation, they are no more. If they hadn't gone down, would you have gone down the road of having your own business? I mean, I know it's a hard question, but...
Yeah, look, it probably expedited the process. Me and Rowan had sort of chatted about starting our own business probably over the last couple of years at Prana. So we'd always sort of gone, eventually we want to do something. We're just really good mates, work together, and sort of went, yep, we do want to start something. It definitely, I guess, kicked our butt and went, yep, great, let's do something. So when we all finished up at Prana, we sort of started to help out some of our clients, didn't really know the direction where we're going. We sort of started it, worked in it for about 3 months. I then went and took a break and did a ski season in Japan for 4 months at the very start, and sort of did half a day. And then when I came back, and me and Rowan sort of went into it full time. So we both sort of took a few months off after everything went pear-shaped and sort of had it in the background, sort of muddling along. I know Rowan did a bit of work with you guys for a few months as well,
That's
just
right.
helping out. So yeah, that's sort of how things launched. But we probably would still be at Prana, potentially looking at starting our own thing in the future. But yeah, it definitely kickstarted the Arigo journey.
Was it a bit easier for you than, say, and it's never easy starting a business for anyone who has attempted. I mean, the attrition rate's really high. Was it a little bit easier that you had a relationship with some of these customers from Prana than, say, starting totally fresh?
Yeah, definitely. I think there probably wasn't heaps of customers that we've sort of long term kept doing business with. There was a lot of end clients that potentially needed some engineering drawings finished off, rebates claimed, just sort of tying up the ends of jobs. But it was probably the relationships from our time at Prana, from other suppliers, other EPCs, other people that we ended up doing work with. So that's sort of, I guess, the relationships that we built through our time at Prana and being involved in the industry, going to networking events, going to All Energy, going to all of these sort of events that sort of helped build sort of what we're doing today.
It's incredibly important, relationships in any business, and I'll be careful. I'll say especially renewables, because it is fairly small. Like everyone seems to know everyone else, and ideally, from your perspective, you want return custom, don't you? You don't want to. It's not like going and installing a solar system on someone's house and maybe they say, I've got a friend, but you don't tend to see them unless you come back and put the batteries or whatever. So you've got a lot of repeat customers, and is it mostly the renewable energy industry at the moment, or you got other kind of customers as well?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a range. A majority of our work is the renewable energy industry. So a lot of sort of EPCs and other companies. We've got a bunch of end clients, as I'd sort of call them, sort of your EPCs and your end clients, the people that are actually buying the solar, that we support and sort of tendering services, owners, engineers work, helping them specify exactly what they want to do, feasibility studies. So we're working with a couple of larger REITs for projects like that are doing new developments and projects.
Can you explain the REITs to our listeners?
Yeah, so real estate investment trusts.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say renewable energy targets. So I'm going to learn something. That's great.
Yeah, so some of the bigger property developers. So, for example, Mirvac would be one that we do some work with on some of their properties. So when they're looking at sort of developments, they might come to us and go, oh, hey, can we have a look at a feasibility study for this? They might have a facility manager that's looking at upgrading a site. They'll come to us to look at some owners' engineering specifications, and help deliver projects. So we've done that on multiple of their sites. And
you have to be. We were saying off camera how a successful business, if there's a smallish business, has to be very, very agile and very customer focused. Is that what you pride yourselves on? You guys.
Yeah, definitely. So I think what's sort of really helped us grow and be successful is just me and Rowan's ability to sort of connect with customers, help people, be helpful, sort of go above and beyond, and then just clear communication with our work.
Yes.
Just a lot of the engineering design work, a lot of the detailed design, a lot of the good applications, as you guys know. Timeframes, timelines, communication about when things are going to get done. Being flexible. We get calls every week. Hey, I need this, in tomorrow. Can you make it happen? Bit of pushback sometimes on that, where you go, look, probably not, but a lot of the time we can sort of shuffle around work. We've got a fairly agile team that we're able to sort of prioritize where needed. So that's sort of our focus, is being really customer centric. Pretty much all our customers are repeat customers.
That's great.
So people do one job with us, they'll do 50.
That's testament to your good work. That's really good. So I want to try to get it clear in my head. You've got the grid apps, right? And that's one thing. And then is it you're offering design, construction packs, that kind of stuff as well? Can you sort of explain in sort of detail what these offerings are like?
Yeah, definitely. So look, our core services when it's an EPC that needs engineering support. Typically, it's projects in the commercial setting. 30 kilowatts is probably the smaller projects that we'll do, up to about 5 meg. So we've got a couple of sort of multi-megawatt type sites. And we'll do the grid application, so obviously managing that whole process, connecting to the grid. And then the detailed design process is I like to think of it as we do the detective work of your site inspections, your cable sizes.
Oh, wow.
We look at your structural engineering drawings, what your racking is going to be, your panels, your inverters. We look at the communications. We look at everything, and we build that into a standard pack for construction. So we look at incorporating all of the information into one single pack, and obviously that's used for your grid application submissions.
Right.
And so that really helps with the grid application submissions if we are doing the detailed design, because we do have all of the information. We normally will control sort of a little bit more around panel layouts, what our cable proposed sizings are, all those details.
Wow.
And make sure it aligns to the DNSP standards and recommendations. So we find that when we do the sort of grid applications with a full detailed design pack, applications get approved quite quickly. I think a lot of DNSPs probably have people internally that are starting to see more and more of our grid apps and more of our packs. And my thought is that, hopefully they're starting to see the quality of what we do and approve it quicker.
That's really good. No, and again, I think you're dead right. Like I remember in the early days with the DNSPs, there was effectively someone scribbling an SLD on it. It really was like that. And then after a while, they started saying, no, it has to be a computer-assisted drawing or similar. You can do it other ways, as you and I have talked about Excel and stuff. But something professional that is easy to read, that shows a particular standard, it makes a lot of sense. Now, these construction packs, are they effectively like a detailed recipe book? Could you pass one on to an installer, a client, and their installation team goes, oh yeah, it's all here. This is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. That's essentially what we aim to do. We end up working very directly with installers as well. We want to make sure that everything we do is clear, that it makes sense practically as well. I think in engineering, you can get too focused on the technical and the theoretical, and it stops being practical. So we want to engage, get a lot of feedback. We continually reiterate our drawings, update templates. We've done a lot of work, for example, with soul share projects, and we have gone through probably about 3 iterations of different soul share drawings to make it more clear. From working with Loom directly, they've actually just engaged us to do template SLDs for all of their projects.
Wow.
So they can have that as their document library.
That's great.
Which is, an awesome piece of work. And I've been working with Cam and the team at Soulshare and Loom for probably 6 years now. So since they first started.
Wow.
But the detailed recipe book is really what it ends up being. But focused on the practicality of actually on-site delivery.
This is a really good point, isn't it? Because it's easy it's not easy, but from an engineering perspective, you're presenting this as the ideal situation, but then sometimes the reality of the installation is not taken into consideration. And one thing is, and we were talking about this off camera and previously about DC cable and cable tray, and we'll talk a bit more about that. It's like you may say, the tray can fit this and it's whatever, but the installation time may increase because of that configuration within the tray. And I'm just amazed that you do it to that level. And that must take a lot of time.
Yeah, it does. It does take a fair bit of time. We're getting down a very set process with really good tools. Sort of this year specifically, me and Rowan is focused on process automation as the business has grown. Right. So we're now up to 3 additional internal engineers, so there's a team of 5.
Oh, wow.
So that sort of focus and making things very streamlined for that, that bulk of our work, which is the detailed design side of things, has been really, really important to, make sure we're doing things compliantly, but also doing things in an efficient manner.
And your customers, have they, the ones who have come to you, have they, who who request these intricate design packs. Have they just said right from the word go, we're going to get other people to do it, or have they been in the situation where we can sort of do it ourselves, we've done it ourselves, but you know something, we'd rather someone else did it for us?
It's a mix of different companies. So from our perspective and from my perspective, really, I find that there's a lot of companies that don't focus on engineering as much. There's a really key focus on really good project management, sales, operations, delivery.
Right.
But there is definitely companies out there that have a really strong engineering team. But there's a lot that sort of go, well, you know, it's a project cost. We don't want the overhead of having an engineering team in-house. And those are the sort of customers that we work and align with really strongly. We find that, you know, we get recommended. We don't do pretty much any marketing. It's all word of mouth for what we do.
That's great.
Yeah, which is pretty wild. But again, it's a small industry. So once people know you and what you do, they will recommend you if you're doing a good job, which is how we've grown. So a lot of our customers have sort of come, either they've done a little bit themselves, or they've gone, we need to level up and scale up. And they've gone, you know, working with us is a great option comparatively to, you know, taking on the responsibility of having an in-house engineering team.
Yeah, I mean, and even the fact, even if you did have an in-house engineer, that doesn't mean they can necessarily produce quality work. And we've seen that a bit with at Greenwood. You must spend a lot of time, as you sort of alluded to, liaising with the installers themselves, the people actually doing the work, because they're the ones who've got the pack.
Oh,
and they're going, and they're pretty hard. They'll if they see something they don't like or don't agree with, they're going to come back, aren't they? Oh,
definitely. And I encourage it a lot of the time. So we try and make sure that with our drawing sets we give opportunities to have feedback. So, you know, we'll normally do a prelim sort of very high level. Hey, here's this. It's normally an information gathering exercise to do the prelim, is sort of how we treat it. So, hey, here's your prelim. You can see there's TBC on these items. Can you go get them for me? It's a really clear way to show what information is missing. Right. Or it's hey, we think this panel layout's going to work. Can you check the suitability? We get a bit of feedback then, go to a for approval drawing set. That's normally once we've got, you know, your structurals and all your final detailed design information back, to go, hey, here's your for approval. Make sure this is correct. You know, do you want to change where the cable tray is going? Do you want to, you know, change some of the panel layout? Has the client got any feedback from this for approval pack on inverter location, on those sort of details? And then we'll go to a for construction. So we're trying to, along the way, make sure that we always have points of feedback and that sort of to and fro. And we'll give people a call. Hey, look, you know, I've just sent you across the pack. Can you bring it up? Can you have a look at it? Can you make sure that, you know, everything that's on there is correct? And especially with the bigger projects where you're, you know, we've got a couple of shopping centre sites that are megawatt plus at the moment that we're designing for. And it's going, okay, cool. We have the structural, you know, this is what we're planning. Do you have any performance guarantees you need to make around, you know, what does this system need to perform? How does it need to do? You know, where are you running your cable tray? Are you wanting to stick to 6 mil or 4 mil? Are you know, what tray are you doing? So it's those larger, you know, pieces that affect cost that we want to make sure that the client has the end input into.
That's interesting. And it just brought up a question, like a lot of people who are doing PPAs, for instance, don't want to use string fusing on their DC cable. And as a result, they have to use an earth that's related to the active size of the active conductor in the inverters they use, which is, you know, interesting one. Like their logic is, I suppose, another point of failure and stuff. Is that something you're seeing more and more of nowadays with your clients? So
we have probably a different perspective. We want string fusing on pretty much all our sites. We see it as an extra point of protection.
I personally totally agree, and we do the same thing at Greenwood. But it's just some customers go, no, especially with PPAs, they go, no, we don't want it. We've experienced that ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think with inverter monitoring getting better, and the fact that you can see string level monitoring on your SunGrow, on your, you know, on all these sort of things, I think the extra protection and a smaller earth makes a lot more sense.
You're preaching to the convert. I totally agree.
But yeah, it's these conversations that we normally will have with installers that might go, hey, actually, I want to run a 25 mil earth. We go, cool. Look, if you want to do that, remove the string fusing. Awesome. Fine by us.
The next question is, how cheap are you buying this 25 mil if you want to run it? Because, it's expensive compared to a 6 mil earth, which is the minimum you can use with string fusing. And that's assuming no lightning protection, but we'll talk about all the nitty-gritty later on. Now, do you offer this a site inspection service? Because it seems to me that's, if you're not doing the site inspection, you're relying on the quality of the site inspection from your customer.
Yeah, definitely. So it's really a balance. It depends where it is. So good example, I'm heading up to Sydney tomorrow. There's a shopping centre that'll have probably around 3 megawatt hours worth of storage, and it's about a 1.6 megawatt PV system.
Wow.
So for those larger sites, we say we want to get on site.
Yeah.
There's going to be new switchboards on that, obviously FCAS with the BESS, integration with the new switchboards, where everything's going to go, locations. Some of the string runs are going to be a bit dicey. So,
what do you mean?
It's
long.
Some long DC runs, some trenched cable.
Oh, wow.
It's all those sort of details that we go, okay, we need to get on site for this. A lot of the time, we will rely on the installers and look at clarifying information. We've got fairly detailed checklists that we request to get filled out. Sometimes they get filled out really well, sometimes not. But that's how the cookie
an education
crumbles.
process.
Yeah.
You want your clients to.
Yeah.
Eventually they're going to do it right.
Yeah. Well, and it's also a trusting with the installer. Like a lot of the people we work with, we go, look, we trust you to get the right information and to tell us the right thing. It's on them to get us the right thing.
That's what I was going to say. There must be some caveats in the contract there, and there has to be, doesn't there? Because if you're relying on someone else's information gathering.
Yeah, so we have to assume that what is correct. We look at validating as much as possible. Right. So, with photos, with cables, we'll try and look at the lugs, double check that, hey, that 50 mil cable is 50 mil. It's not 35 or not 70.
Yes.
So there's a lot of that sort of information gathering that me and Rowan call it the detective work of the initial setup. So, sometimes you'll get photos that you go, oh, there's a inverter on that wall there that's existing. I don't know. There's no contextual photos. So let's go to Google Maps. Let's go to Google Street View. Let's try and figure out contextually where that actually is. You go, oh, there's a picture of half a door frame here, so I think it's through here, and you normally can work it out, or you just end up calling them and going, give me an aerial markup, please.
Well, that's going to happen more and more, isn't it now? Because we're talking about, inverters that were, on commercial buildings 5, 6, even up to say 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now people are saying, I want more. The business owner, I want more. I want batteries. So the site inspection does have to take into consideration existing infrastructure and existing PV equipment.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we're starting to see it a lot more. People asking us, hey, existing 100 kilowatt, there might be 327 ecos and an 8, the classic old. Yeah, the classic old 100 kilowatt setup.
DC, AC overclocking.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much exactly to 1.33. Yeah. 330 watt panels. The sort of standards, and they'll go, oh well, we want to put in 100 kilowatt hours of storage, make most of the new battery rebate, and go through that process. Oh, what should we do? And it's okay. Well, you have to potentially replace some inverters. Okay, what does that mean? Is there existing grid protection? Sort of how is it set up?
Yeah,
and it's connection points, and it's that's typically what we find is the biggest issue with a lot of these retrofit sites. Okay, how do they connect it to the switchboard initially? Is that compliant still? How do you treat that? All of those those questions that come with.
And there's a genset on site as well. How that's going to be incorporated into it as well.
Is there an interlock?
Yes.
All that sort of stuff. So the connection point question with the switchboard standards and going through that is always an interesting perspective and a point that we have to raise and go, okay, well, it's great. How are we connecting in here? What are your thoughts first?
Yes.
What does the installer want to do? And then go, okay, well, to the standards, is that compliance? Have you thought about this? Potentially, your upstream breaker isn't big enough, or your cable size is much. Yeah.
So it's a fine line between completely designing their system for them and coming up with a design that piggybacks off what they've already. I'm not explaining. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Must be hard.
Yeah. Look, I would say 90% of the time, people do a great job. Like they really understand. A lot of our clients really understand the requirements, really understand what and where you can do things, and a lot of the time, that final 10% is us just nudging a little bit, just saying, "Hey, look, can see you want to do that. Potentially, your break is undersized for the amount of inverters. Let's split it across 2 breakers."
Or the classic, we sort of don't think you've taken cable derating on that AC run. Yeah, because that's something that's pretty common.
Yeah, and a lot of the time we'll do the AC sizing for the cable.
Right, that's, okay.
So any new point of connection, we'll do the full AC schedule and make sure that everything's compliant and go through that whole process.
Wow. Do you ensure as part of your checklist that your clients have got a structural engineer to sign off on the actual framing and panel configuration? Yeah,
so something we have implemented is we don't issue any FA packs without structurals.
Yep.
So we need to make sure that, hey, are you working on a standard? And look, wind loading is mandatory.
Yep.
Weight loading, look, if it's below a set size, look, it is a liability on the EPC.
Yep.
So for weight loading, we'd sort of say, look, we highly recommend it. And if you don't want to get it and the client accepts that you're not getting it,
it's on you.
It's on you.
Yeah, we had Santa come in. We've had him come in a couple of times. We had a roundtable discussion last week and a podcast before talking about, amongst other things, off purlins and why GamCorp don't do that. So it's a really interesting area, and this really plays a role in regards to like altering any design from a PV perspective. If the customer goes, "Oh, we want to move the panels here," and you go, "Well, if you do, you might have to use 3 rails or 4 rails." Or I nearly hit Santa when he said this. Not that Woody's a big guy, but he said 5 rails.
5 rails.
I said, "No, mate, steady on." But I mean, that does play a role. So. Yeah, and is that part of the role too, to explain to the customer, look, if you want to change this stuff, there's a price to pay.
Yeah, so we normally don't deal with the end customers directly. It's normally obviously dealing with the installer and the EPC company. But we will always go, hey, we've tried to maximise the design as best as possible to be cost efficient from a rail perspective, how you're doing it. Sometimes they go, look, we just can't. We don't have to go in a 4-rail section for a big portion. We go, great, understand. And then it's also the combination between shading, shade losses, how much do you have in shade, where panels are going to be placed, how far away they're from obstacles.
Yep.
The implication of, oh, look, we actually need it 300 mil further back to be optimal. Hey, that's going to be a 4-rail system now.
Do you factor in, like with your design, crane lifts of pallets and things like that? I mean, I'm not talking about the structural sign-off, because that's someone else's responsibility, but do you factor that into the whole design brief of like, you expect to have the crane on for, X amount of days out of this 2 or 3 month period or whatever it is? Is that something you do as well? Yeah,
look, if required, we'll look at integrating a point loading certificate, looking at craning locations, sort of set up those drawings from a it depends on the level of detail that's needed by the client.
Yep.
So if the end client requests, hey, we need to know exactly when the cranes are going to be, what are the crane locations, where are your loading zones, landing zones, ingress, egress. We can do a traffic management crane lift plan. It's similar to a site map.
Yeah, I understand.
So it's it's not as detailed as the full electrical SLDs, but we can indicate where all these things go.
Have you noticed over the years, and talking about SLDs, how your SLDs improve? Because that's something that's a bit of a... I'm very bad at looking at SLDs. It takes me a while, unless they're fantastic. And if I can understand straight away what's going on, that is the best SLD someone can draw, because I'm really bad with them. Have you noticed how your SLDs have progressed over the years? And
yeah, definitely. We've probably spent a good sort of the last 3 or 4 months really trying to improve them. I think one of the best things that we've done, we've got a new engineer, Will, who's come in, and he's actually hand drawn a lot of the meters. So we've got an actual, instead of a box that says smart meter.
No, I like this. This is great.
We have the actual physical what it looks like, the smart meter, whether
Yep.
it's a SunGrow or a Solar Edge or whatever it is.
Yes.
We sort of have those, the loggers as well. So actually drawing the physical logger,
Fantastic.
showing where the, RS485 goes, the Ethernet goes, actually
I love it.
having a line that goes out of the RS485.
That's
connection to the
art.
pad.
That's art, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and Will's sort of come in and really taken control of that and, done a great job. But having clearer images that you can just look at and you go, oh, there's my smart meter, there's my logger, great, awesome. I can see where it's connected.
Absolutely.
And we've got some feedback on it. It's a big
And
difference.
people really appreciate it. That's the thing, and it may take a long time to actually draw that part. Then it's a block, and you make sure it's ideally a dynamic block, becomes a library part, and then, hey, you've done it. And then after a while, you've got, oh my gosh, we've got all these blocks. And I love seeing those where people have actually tried to draw in to make it look real. It's as opposed to a square box with, SMA meter or Fronius data meter, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's been a really big thing, doing that. Also, we work with all the manufacturers, talking to them about clamping zones and we've actually started building up a library of all of their CAD files. So requesting, for example, SunGrow, hey, can you send us through all the new P2 inverters and the CAD files for your 50, your 30 and your 110, and they'll send across, obviously NDAs and that sort of thing is assigned, but
that's fantastic.
Same with Schledder, they just sent through across all of that, and having actually the physical parts represented that are from the manufacturer, it's a big thing.
I've seen a few of your SLDs and I'll say this now, I can understand them straight away. So that means they're really good. No, and it's just, I think, we're visual beasts, and it's funny how a lot of engineers, when they do these CAD drawings, and it might be great, might be proportionally looking okay, but they've just been really, it's a little rectangle, and it's like, come on, spend some time.
Yeah,
because it really adds to the understanding. I'm very impressed by that. That's great. Well, it sounds like you're going really, really well. And what plans have you got to, are you going to look at other areas apart from renewable energy? I mean,
we'll
seems like you're geared up.
We're really focused on sort of renewable energy. I think it's got a really good, prospective future. It's just going to keep growing. Over the last 10 years, it has grown hugely. It's going to continue. The new rebates that are coming in, VIX specifically, for Victoria, the new VEU scheme, 30 to 200 kilowatt, will now be able to be applicable for VIX.
Now, you sent me an email, and a few of us at Greenwood, and I appreciate that. I had a bit of a look, and I was going, hang on a sec. So are you happy to expand on that a little bit? Because I hadn't heard it, and you obviously at the forefront have got that info, and it's like, can you explain it to the people who are listening, what's actually going on and can you date it as well?
Yeah, definitely. So it's pretty new, so I'll try and recount as much accurate information as possible. But so previously, VIX, as part of the VEU, so it's the Victorian Energy Efficiency Certificate Scheme, there was a project-based approach that you could claim VIX on large-scale projects. So with that, you would need to do about an 18-month measurement and verification period.
Yep.
Typically, it would sort of work for systems that are about 300 kilowatts and above, self-consumption of about 80%.
Right.
So a good example, Prana actually did one of the first VIX projects on a megawatt ground mount system. At the time, was the first time anyone had done it. We worked with Northmore and Gordon on that one. And they, instead of LGCs being, say, 200 grand of revenue, they received about 600 grand.
Wow.
At the time.
Wow.
So that's been existing for probably the last 5 years. And so
it's only Victorian too.
So only Victorian,
yes.
And you've got to be registered on the VEU. So you can opt out to the VEU. A lot of big players opt out, but then you can't receive VIX for your lighting schemes or these sort of things.
Right.
So some of the bigger operations, because it's a fee on your bill. It's one of the environmental charges.
It is.
So they save money by just going, well, we're not going to use it, so they opt out. But basically, the VEU has come out, and it was Tuesday last week. they gave everyone about 2 days notice and said,
you got to date this one, mate. Tuesday last week.
Yeah, Tuesday last week. When was that? Well, that would have been the 30th of September.
Yeah, okay, we'll go end of September.
End of September, about that. And so they came out and said, hey, 30 to 200 kilowatts, we're going to make VEEX applicable.
So
for these
30
systems.
to 200.
So 30 kilowatts to 200.
Right.
There's some clarification needed on exactly what it is. They've said KVA of 30 kilowatts. We're going to submit a verification on, obviously, the Sungrow inverters, 29.9. That's a very common inverter out there in commercial land. But 30 to 200, you'll be applicable to get VEEX. There's a set calculation. I've got an email from one of the VEEX trading partners that we work with on exactly how that calculation works. But effectively, they're assuming that it's 80%, 60 to 70% self-consumption of that solar. It'll be a set rate per kilowatt.
Right.
And then you'll be paid out the VEEX. And instead of going through that 18-month verification period, it's an upfront discount. So it'll probably
point of sale discount, like SDC.
Point of sale discount, yeah. And it stacks with SDCs.
And it does. It's regardless of the panel orientation and pit.
Completely regardless. So it's very similar to SDCs.
South-facing panels.
Yeah. Hopefully not.
No,
but
that's really interesting.
Yeah, so an additional upfront discount. I think 100 kilowatts was about the 17 grand mark is what they've advised.
Wow.
And then the 200 kilowatts was about 30 odd grand or so. So, it's a significant rebate on these sort of systems.
So it replaces the SDCs up to 100?
No, in addition. So you can, in addition to the, next year it'll be about 22,000 for Victoria on 100 kilowatts for STCs, and then you'll be able to get another about 15,000 for VEEX. So it's basically
we're going to probably see there's going to be a bit of a flood, isn't it? There,
I think as soon as these rebates, so you can the rebates have started as of 30th of December, so 30th of September.
Yeah.
So any system that was installed after 30th of September, so last week, is applicable.
When they say installed, you mean commissioned?
No, installed, starting installation. Yeah. So all these new systems that were going to be installed anyhow, all of a sudden can have this additional upfront rebate to the customer. That's
funny how this wasn't really, well, I haven't seen it like on LinkedIn or Renew Economy or PV Mag or anyone really. I only heard about it from you, and it's like, are they keeping it? What do you, usually they announce these things, don't they?
Yeah, they did mention within the webinar that the consultation period was essentially truncated to avoid disruption within the industry. So I think the Smart Energy Council had worked with them, and it was announced via Smart Energy Council.
They didn't want the whole battery rebate thing to be replicated. Smart.
So they basically said, look, we're announcing it. There's some clarification over the next 6 weeks that will get in. Another one being it has to be a single installation, but if you do a staged 100 kilowatts, then another 100 kilowatts to make sure that you claim your STCs, then LGC on a 200 kilowatt system. Compliantly as the CER wants, and has, made clear that it has to be 100 kilowatts first, installed, commissioned, and then you start the second 100 kilowatt, whether that counts as one system for the 200 kilowatts or not for VEEX. So there's a few things like that are still going through clarification. And but they basically had a very, very short consultation time of nothing.
God damn it.
And just announced it. As an additional rebate, which, look, I think is a good approach.
No, I agree. There was so many people lamenting, waiting for the federal government to announce this and this, and it was like, for the smaller people, or even the people who do a lot of high volume, low profit margin, it was devastating for them waiting to see, because their customers were holding off, as you would as an end user.
Yeah, and we've had some of our customers that do residential as well just say, we're swamped from the battery rebate coming in, and they're like, it would have been great to sort of have it a little bit more staged, because they go, I've got a backlog of 1,000 installs.
Oh my God, feast or famine, eh? It's no
and you're not going to scale your operations team up to an extra 50 people to cater for that for the one big wave.
No way.
So everyone's sort of getting very, very busy and overworked because of the rebate. So look, it's applicable now. Obviously, chat to your VEU trader and your accredited provider. And we're going to see probably a bit of a boom in 30 to 200 kilowatt space in Victoria, specifically with the additional rebates.
Wow. Do you, with the VEU, like the trader, do you have recommendations for your customers? Do you have relationships with existing ones? And
so we're fairly agnostic, and we take steps to be agnostic from most providers.
Yeah.
We like to stay independent, and we'll recommend people we like.
Yeah, you got relationships with them, of course.
So there's people that will go, hey, look, these people do a really good job. We would recommend them. There's no sort of kickback for us. It's just purely we like working with them. They're good people. They're a good company. They'll do a good job. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that whoever we're working with has a good experience.
Yeah, of course.
It's the same with when we do projects. We'll typically recommend Greenwood for grid boards because we know the team, we know the quality, we know what goes into it.
But you certainly don't get a kickback. No. I agree, and I don't see anything wrong with recommending. People who and companies who are doing the right thing, especially if you know them and you know what they do. That's how it should. Yeah. That's how it should work, really. Do you, for instance, do any financial kind of assessments, or like if a customer came to you and said, "Oh, look, Ed, we're looking at maybe doing this FCAS. We're not sure if we go FCAS or arbitrage, but we're not, Do you put together some kind of assessment in that respect for them? Is that something you offer?
Yeah, so look, we do financial modelling on the PV side pretty commonly.
Yep.
Sort of battery FCAS side, less common. But look, the financial side for your standard PV systems, we'll do full modelling, full cash flow, look at all the energy bills, interval data, put all that into a financial model and work through that, get conservative paybacks, look at different rates of increase of energy prices, different loads, if they don't have more load, higher load in the future. So we do all of that in-house. And then we'll use tools like Orchestra if we're going to do sort of any of that arbitrage, FCAS, all that sort of modelling sort of side of things.
Which we're seeing a lot more of.
Yeah, definitely.
As people... Well, as they realise and becomes economically viable, you got to produce it, you got to store it, and then you got to use it. And when that happens and how it happens is up to the dictates of the market. Now, what about? Well, this is not the correct word, and I've got a complete and mental blank. Assessments, site assessments, or please tell me the correct name, Ed. What's the Sorry, here we go. I'll start again. Take two. What about feasibility studies?
Feasibility studies. Yep. Yeah, so look, feasibility studies, we've done a bunch of them, come in all shapes and forms, whether people just want to go, hey, how much solar can I fit on my roof? I really want to do a basic, high level, look at my bill, look at the interval data, max out my roof, what can we do there? To a full-blown... look at and assess the full connection points, look at exactly what you do, basically doing a full detailed design to issue to tender is something that we do, and it all depends on sort of the level of engagement you want. Some people just want, what's the max size? Can it fit in my switchboard? Yes or no? And you go, yep, cool, max size is 500 kilowatts. From your bill, I can see that your load, max demands maybe 600, and got a large off-peak and peak usage, that's approximately right. Or we can do the full detailed granular sort of side of things.
Yeah, wow.
When it comes to sort of batteries and FCAS, we're starting to do a little bit more of that. It's still a little bit few and far between.
Yep.
People in the market are still getting into the space a little bit more, understanding it. We're delivering a couple with partners, obviously, of these larger FCAS batteries at the moment. And I think it's people starting to understand the technical challenges and requirements as well. So I know you guys have done quite a few of these FCAS batteries, and we've done a few as well previously. And it's definitely not as simple as just plugging a battery into a
No, we were talking about this off camera. There's a lot of complexities, and there's a lot of people scrambling to understand it all. And from a monitoring perspective, from a comms perspective, from the whole perspective of this, the trading of electricity in the case of arbitrage, and stabilisation of the grid, or the potential to stabilise the grid, because you get paid for whether you stabilise the grid or not. It's a weird one for me, trying to work that one out.
Yeah,
and
the capacity versus raise and lowers, and when you bid and arbitrage and the whole optimization.
That's right.
The stuff that people are doing, like your power sinks and the ASOs and those type of companies that are doing that optimization side of things.
Yeah, right.
Pretty incredible.
It's all Well, it's all based on the change in the frequency of the grid with FCAS, and also the price of energy,
the forward curves, and who has the better model to estimate, and all the sort of the quick bids, and ability to respond quickly as well is massive. So
I think people who have had a background probably in trading crypto and stuff like that would sort of understand the trading side probably really well. It's a funny one. I don't know if you saw the article. I think it was in Renew Economy recently, and there was the danger of AI in the battery area of trading arbitrage. Apparently AI was artificially, apparently according to the article, artificially propping up the price of electricity, colluding between AIs. So it's a bit of a funny area. Now I want to move away from Arigo, and we'll get back to Arigo, but just to let's go back many years when you were a young tacker, probably high school. Did you know you wanted to be an engineer from an early age, or?
Not so much. I probably didn't exactly know what I wanted to do for a long time. I sort of, had passions of sort of maths and physics and design tech, and really learning how things worked was probably my interest. So I'd pull apart a lot of toys. Wasn't great at putting them back together.
This is a common thing. Every engineer, they've all done the same thing, and a lot of them said the same thing. weren't very good at putting them back together. But
just seeing the internals, how it worked, the gears, and doing all of that, and then doing more practical sort of classes, and that sort of design, and physics and maths. I didn't love maths, to be honest. It wasn't hugely a strong subject for me, but sort of was able to grasp the concepts quite quickly, and then it was probably just a lack of practice that I didn't do so well in it more than anything else. I think just growing up, sort of being exposed to lots of different people and what they did, and then I took some time straight out of high school and did a year in England, which I think was really good. So. Worked.
This is straight after year 12.
After year 12, took a full gap year, and I think that really helped sort of solidify what I wanted to do, and give me a chance to take a year off and travel and sort of experience a bit more of the world, and then come back in fresh to uni, as I sort of see it. So that's sort of where I ended up, and started off in a single engineering degree, and then moved into a double degree in mechanical engineering and industrial design.
Sucker for punishment.
Sucker for punishment, exactly. I still remember when I was talking to the head dean who was in the industrial design course, and him going, it's going to be a lot more work, right? He's like, you don't have to overload every semester. And I was like, yeah, mate, into it, passionate, keen, so... But look, that was a great decision for me. I sort of got to do a lot of really fun things through having sort of the dual degree, one in design, which was creative. You got to sort of, I always found it very funny. I'd go from a pure maths, theoretical engineering maths into an ethics around design and AI or something like that, or car design, and you sort of have these sort of two really different thinking perspectives that you get from both degrees. Once the creative and expanding your mind and trying to come up with unique solutions. Then once practical in a boundary, really fixed, rigid sort of critical thinking. So I think doing both, sort of really helps. Sort of have those two different perspectives.
Good left side, right side stuff, isn't it?
Yep.
Did you have any mentors when you were growing up in high school, or with your family, or was there someone, a particular teacher you met that went, wow, they really had a good impact on me?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of there was probably one uni lecturer that was really great. He he sort of guided me a little bit what subjects to take, where my interests were sort of lying. And he was the one that actually recommended me do an exchange year in South Korea as well, which was a really unique experience. And there was probably a couple of high school teachers that were just really passionate about physics and design and those sort of things that sort of really drew me into those classes as their sort of passions, for the subject and the way that they taught it, I think really helped me be engaged. I'm quite a visual learner and someone likes to be very hands-on. So having, practical experiments and, time to spend in the woodworking class with the design teachers and that sort of things was, sort of big influences.
So you went to Korea during uni, is that right?
Yeah. So
wow.
I originally wanted to go to Germany and then talked to my design lecturer and went, hey, look, I'm trying to go to Germany. He went, go to South Korea, which I went, what do you mean? But there was a New Colombo scholarship. So the New Colombo scholarship was a scholarship introduced, I think it was in the 80s, and it was trying to get a lot of the Southeast Asian students to Australia. And then the New Colombo scholarship that I was a part of was getting Australian students to Southeast Asia.
Wow. Yep.
So, Japan, China, South Korea was one as well.
Definitely not North Korea.
Not North Korea,
Yes.
no. There was lots of jokes that I was going to build rockets in Korea, on a special uni program.
Yeah.
But no, that didn't happen. But yeah, I ended up in South Korea, which was supposed to be 6 months that turned into a year. Absolutely loved it over there.
Lots of soju.
Lots of soju, yeah.
Yeah.
Joined the soccer club and the futsal and badminton club, and there's a lot of soju that goes around over there.
Koreans, I know Koreans very well. We'll talk later. They party. They work incredibly hard. They party like maniacs. They are hard. They are hardcore. I've got stories. I've been there a couple of times.
They're incredibly hardworking,
Yeah,
and I think that was one of the things that I took out of it was how dedicated and hardworking these people were. It's pretty incredible that they would go, "Yep, sweet, we're going to go out," and then next day, 12 hours of study. The environment over there is kind of set up for that, where it's a very high stress environment. So I went to KAIST, which is one of the top tech universities. Didn't know it at the time. I just went, yeah, that one seems good. We'll go there. But it's a scholarship entry type program.
Wow.
So everyone's on a scholarship there. But your scholarship and the amount you get paid for your scholarship is based on your marks.
Oh.
So if you're a B grade student versus a C grade student, you might get a little bit more money.
Right.
But then all of your classes are bell curve. So it's not an 80% gets you an A. If everyone else got 81, you might get a D.
Yeah.
So you got to be better than everyone as well.
Yep.
So incredibly competitive when it comes to studying. And, I sort of rocked in there coming from an Australian university and going, yeah, this would be simple. And very quickly learned that I probably need to study a bit harder.
It's funny, they're very educated population. A lot of people got double degrees in Korea.
Yeah.
Was the uni in Seoul? Was it?
No, it was south of Seoul. So it was about an hour and a half by fast train in Daejeon. So it was a small town of 5 million people.
Yeah.
But it was lovely. They had so many events and things to do there. The university campus was huge. It was probably about 1.5 times Melbourne Uni's campus.
Wow.
Massive. So it was live on campus the whole time. Had your bike, ride around. They had footy ovals, soccer ovals. Go to the gym, the pool. They had the local sort of nightlife as well, which was great fun. They had the under-21 World Cup. Was there when we were there.
Yeah, wow.
Which me and a bunch of the international students went to one of the games and ended up getting in the newspaper for being the rowdy internationals, which is pretty funny.
That's great.
I think we were supporting Tonga versus Mexico and really backed the Tongans in.
Yeah, gotcha. Wow.
They got demolished, but we got in the newspaper. So
very cool. And you were there for how long?
So I was there for 12 months all up.
Wow. So you would have picked up a little bit of the lingo.
Yeah, so I went over there naively thinking, I've been to a Southeast Asian country before, don't need to speak any of the language, get around with English. And quickly learned that wasn't really the case. Out of Seoul, you need to speak Korean. So I did 6 months worth of night school to get to I call it a taxi level conversation where I could
Very good.
say who I was, where I wanted to go, directions. I could buy drinks, order things. I had a couple of very, very funny experiences where I did a bit of solo traveling out to some more rural regional areas. One holiday, I decided I'd go ice fishing in Pyeongchang, not Pyongyang, North Korea, but it's over to the sort of east of the country.
Right.
And I went to an ice fishing festival
by
myself, and no one spoke a lick of English, and I was probably the only Western person there. But it was great fun.
Did you catch any fish?
No. And then sat on the ice for about 4 hours, and one of the older Korean men near me felt bad and gave me a fish.
Oh,
so that was
nice.
that was pretty nice.
But you would have been drinking soju. You have to.
A couple of sojus, but it was an awesome experience. But learning the language was it's a surprisingly simple language.
It's very logical. Hangul. Yeah, it's a very logical language.
Super logical.
Yeah, and it's. I think to my ear it sounds quite nice. I'm right into the sound of languages. Did you try the makgeolli, the beer?
Oh,
it's like
the mekju or the
makgeolli. It's sort of like it looks like a milky kind of beer.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about. No. I'm not good with milk at the best of times, so I stayed away from that one.
It's not milk. There's no milk, but it sort of looks like it's milky. Yeah, and it's sort of very fizzy.
Yeah.
Drunk a bit of that.
Yeah.
I really liked over there when people get together, they're talking and drinking, and they're tabletop cooking.
Yeah,
that's great. It's a really good thing.
Yeah, and it's a different culture where they don't have bars; they have drinking restaurants.
Yes.
So we'd go out with friends, and you go and you all drink, and you eat together, and and then you might go to a club.
Yep.
But they don't have the traditional bars as you know it in Australia. It's all sit down. You talk with friends, and it's a really lovely environment over there.
Karaoke, you would have dragged
Norebang.
Yes.
Yeah, plenty of time in the karaoke. So it was great fun. Really
did you do any skiing there?
Yeah, we did. We were lucky enough that we had a couple of great Korean friends that went to a couple of mountains that very, very hard to access as a Westerner. Purely language barrier. You have to book everything on Korean websites. You have to have a Korean number to book everything. So had some awesome time skiing over there as well. So it was good fun.
Nice. And so you're there 12 months, and you've come back to Australia, and you am I right? Resumed your degree, or you'd already? Yeah.
So I took close to 6 years to do my degree. And I came back, and that's when I actually started in the industry. So started as an intern at Roycon, as it was back in the day, which was the subcontracting business that Jared had that turned into Prana when he decided to rebrand.
The name rang a bell.
So that's sort of how I started off, and started off as an intern while finishing my degree, and that moved into me being full-time.
Nice. And you've also spent some time in Japan as well. So you know that area fairly well, because Korea and Japan, you go on a ferry from Busan, it's 4-hour trip to Japan.
It's very close. Yeah. So I have spent a bit of time in Japan. I think I've been there 5 times now. Wow. And so the most recent time was about 3.5 years ago, when I decided to do a 4-month stint and do a ski season over there.
Yeah, wow.
Sort of after Prana wrapped up. So that was a pretty special.
That's when I met you, actually, at an All Energies after thing, and you were just about to go to Japan.
I think it was All Energy, and then it was like 2 weeks later I was off to Japan. So
that's amazing. And but you didn't do any study in Japan. This is like way after.
This is way after, yeah. So look, the Japan trip was sort of after everything went south, it was a good reset. Focus on just doing some snowboarding, to be honest. So snowboarding, and then me and Ron were sort of just in the background setting up Arigo and all our processes and systems and all that sort of thing, sort of at a slow pace. So we sort of took the time to really just ease into figuring out what we were doing and what we wanted to offer, and start talking to a few clients and figuring out our services. So Yeah, it was a really good time just to sort of reset. I think a lot of people talk about taking breaks between jobs. And I think we were both pretty burnt out after that, so it was a really good opportunity to spend some good time away and not really focus on
That's really good.
anything, and just be able to have the opportunity with my partner as well to come with me and have a great time over there.
I'd like to talk a little bit about Bunjil, which is that's eagle, isn't it? In the local Indigenous language, but Jared was involved. It was Jared's, but I never really fully understood how Bunjil. What was Bunjil?
So Bunjil was a collaboration, and it was a company that was half Jared and half Isaac Harrison. So Isaac was the Indigenous director and the one that sort of approached Jared and said, hey, there's a great opportunity with the Indigenous procurement policies that are coming out for Indigenous businesses to be engaged. Look, I really want to... He'd been in the industry sort of in more of an off-grid setting, and he'd come to Jared and said, look, I want to start an Indigenous solar company. And Jared already had Prana and sort of went, look, I think, that's a great idea. Would love to support that idea and vision, and encouraged Isaac, and they set it up together. The setup was effectively Prana would be able to deliver the projects, and Bunjil would be able to engage the clients and manage the relationships and do the project management. But you had the installation capacity. So very similar to a standard sort of EPC setup where you'd have sort of your head contractor and then a subcontractor for the actual physical installation. So that was sort of how it was set up. And at the time I was working at Roycon and then had sort of started at Prana and had about a year at Prana. And the opportunity came where they sort of wanted someone as a project engineer sort of that had some technical skills. And I sort of put my hand up and said, oh, hey, look, I'm actually really interested in that. And getting into that sort of world a little bit more. And ended up, I think, almost 2 years at Bunjil.
Wow.
Which was pretty incredible. So got to meet a whole bunch of really incredible people, including Adam Goods and the work that he's doing at the IDIC, so Indigenous Defence Consortium. Got to work with some pretty interesting clients, got to go out to Boeing in Port Melbourne and did some great work with Mirvac as well around some of their Indigenous side of things. Going to Supply Nations for a few years. That's the sort of peak body for a lot of these Indigenous corporations. It was a really, really interesting time and a wonderful journey.
Yeah, wow. It's you got me thinking too, like with all these solar farms that are going up, and we've been involved with a few of them. And it's it'd be great if the local Indigenous population was involved in some of these large projects, because invariably these projects are on their land in rural parts of Australia, and even things like if they're Indigenous plants, seed collection, a local nursery. There's a few things that we've been talking about here, because I think it's really, really, really important that we're involved in renewable energy, and there's all these other things that are connected to what we do. And when you've got something on the land like a ground mount system, ideally not displacing viable agricultural land, but that's a conversation for another time. You really want the locals and Indigenous and non-Indigenous to be involved with what you're doing, because they are the stakeholders, aren't they?
Yeah, and there's definitely some companies and some people out there. I know Ruby Hurd, she's a massive proponent of this. She's done some wonderful work that I sort of see on LinkedIn and from afar now, that we used to do a little bit of work with her for all those sort of aspects. So there's definitely people out there that are, major proponents and pushing forward with these types of projects and connecting local and remote communities as well. So it was a wonderful, it was a wonderful time, and had some really unique experiences. And sort of the value I got from it was the relationships and managing relationships. That was probably one of my biggest takeaways. Was just how Isaac did business and the relationship approach, and how much he treasured that. So that's definitely something that I've kept going forwards.
I mean, I keep on falling back to cliches, but business really is all about relationships. if it was simply about buying and selling, everyone would be doing everything online. I want to ask you, though, from your perspective of having a consulting business, for want of a better expression, because you do a lot, you're not, you haven't invested heavily in you don't need equipment. I mean, apart from, certain programs.
Offices, laptops, subscriptions.
Yeah, exactly. But it's really people are paying for your
expertise and knowledge.
Yeah, your IP effectively, and what what you've gained, and they should pay accordingly. I've had this conversation with a few people. The fact that you have dedicated a good portion of your life to learning this, that means I don't have to spend the time to learn that. So I should pay you accordingly if I want your services. And it's for those people who go, oh, you're too expensive or whatever. And I'm talking in general. Why you hang on a sec. You went to uni for 5-6 years. You did this, you did that, and you want my services for a pittance.
Yeah,
and when explained like that, people go, oh, hang on a sec. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
because time's our most precious resource. So we got a bit philosophical here, but it's all part of it. I want to talk a little bit about standards, Australian standards, and a particular case in point we were talking about off camera with the cable tray side of things and DC cable in the tray. What's your here's a broad question. What's your relationship with the Australian standards like?
Yeah, look, I think it's good. I think it's an ever-changing beast and topic, and keeping on top of them is time-consuming.
Yes.
Running through them, making sure you're aware of all the standards. We use tools that help us, obviously. Something like a Cable Pro, or these sort of tools for sizing and derating and making sure we're using the correct tables and running through things. Look, the standards are a great resource at the end of the day. Our sort of junior engineers that we have in house, I always say if they're got technical questions, I go, have you looked up the standards? What do the standards say? So being able to read and understand and interpret the standards as well is a really big thing that we do. So I think it's a great necessity to have them. Sometimes they're a little convoluted, and with solar specifically, and DC cable tray. If you look at derating, there's not a specific, hey, if I have 6 cables on top of each other, spaced 1D and then another 6, but it's only loaded to 45% of the current carrying capacity. What is my derating? It's a grey area. That's where we sort of need to take into account interpretation, practicality, what is actually reasonable from a practical standpoint, but also from a technical and standards.
It's all about heat dissipation with cables, though, isn't it? That's the key. They are living documents, though, and they're made by fallible, human beings. So they are being improved, and there's a couple. There is mistakes. Yeah. There's the odd mistake too in there as well.
Yeah, definitely. But I really enjoy when they add new things. I've mentioned SoulShare once, but actually having IPSDs, as they're called, inverter power sharing devices in the standards, huge.
Yes.
Because now DNSPs, when I submit a grid application for a SoulShare, and we do a lot of work with the guys at Illume and SoulShare, I've been working with them for 6 years. I think it's a really great, innovative Australian product. They actually know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because it's in the standards. I can go, IPSD,
there it is,
4777.1.
Yep.
Have a look.
Yep.
This is what it is. This is how it operates, and this is how our design is compliant. And they go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, sure, yeah, no worries.
I think one thing though, that signage has always been a bit of an issue for me in the wording. When you think about, for example, emergency services, they come to a site and they need to Sorry, I'll restart. Emergency service come to a site and they need to shut things down quickly, and they've got all these strange acronyms and what have you. I've had this discussion with a few people. It seems that they could use clear English, especially now with the changes in 4777.1 in regards to alternative and interface protection, all this stuff that's changed. But you're right. As an industry, we have to keep up with these things, and that it's incumbent on us to understand. Have you looked at using AI to create like an index of all the standards?
Yeah, we have actually. So we've been playing around with AI and how it can be worked in our workflow. It's not something that we'll ever rely on.
Yes.
But it's an interesting, there's sort of two examples that we've sort of been playing around with. One is a drawing checker. So once a drawing is drafted and ready for me or Rowan to review, we actually get engineers to run it through an AI checker. And it checks for discrepancies and inconsistencies. So, obviously there's a lot of detail in here, but where it might be one page says a Sungrow inverter, another page says a Fronius. Those sort of discrepancies that an AI can pick up very easily. Human error.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get it to a point where it's an intermediary check. So instead of me having to spend 50 minutes reviewing a drawing, might take me 40 minutes because the AI has been able to, our junior engineers have basically bounced off the AI to be able to have a secondary check. And then it comes to us and then we go, okay, well, the AI isn't perfect and I missed stuff. Yep, cool. Let's make sure we go through the calculations, go through, everything that's there. Oh, hey, this little setup isn't correct. You've got to come from here or whatever it is. So that's sort of one thing. And then we've been looking into having all of the Australian standards that are related to solar into a single LLM, and we use that just more of hey, this is a situation, within the standards, what would be the correct reference point?
And they'll go bang, bang, 3,000 clause, whatever, 3008, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it's using that to be able to go, okay, well, that's my starting point, or that's a reference point. I was already looking at AS3000 or 4777, but I might have pulled something from 5033 and going, okay, well, let me check that in relation to these things. And it's
Very
more
cool.
of a way that you can try and verbally explain something and then go, okay, well, what is it? And I think AI is a soundboarding tool.
Yes.
It's how we're using it.
Yeah, good, because it still happens now, because I've experienced it myself, asking certain questions and asking what clause this is, and suddenly they've made up a clause that doesn't exist, and you call them out. You go, hang on, I think that doesn't even exist.
Yeah, and then it goes, yes, you are correct. And you're like, oh, well, thank you.
Why didn't you
tell me initially?
Exactly. Yeah. It's definitely a tool that's being used by a lot of people, and you'd be silly in not incorporating it to some extent.
And I think it's just looking at practical ways to use it as well. Correct. So we've got those sort of two use cases currently, and we're going to keep on developing it. I know, one of our engineers has been using it to develop additional tools for designing. So he was looking at an optimized string size tool that he developed, got it to be coded out of AI, so sort of vibe coded it. Okay. But it's just a web application that you can open up and say, I've got 100 panels on the north face. My maximum string size is 17. I want you to design me the longest strings possible in an optimized solution. And it'll come back and it'll spit out 6 strings of 17 and 3 of 16 is your best solution. Yeah. But instead of having to go through and go in Excel and that sort of thing.
You could do that in Excel as well. Yeah. It's the same, but the AI would spit it out a heck of a lot quickly.
But he's just built a web tool for it. So just go onto a little website URL and he just goes, 100, 17, calculate. Bang.
Wow.
So that's the sort of where we're using it, is more internal tool development, soundboarding and those sort of things. But I think it's going to continue to have a big impact as it gets better, because you're able to do things and code things and design things that are hugely impactful. So I had to play around looking at interval data analysis and creating a web application that I could just upload interval data, and I have hundreds of sets of interval data that I can test it with. and go, great, I want you to pull out this information and then spit out, from a 5-minute NEM12 file into an hourly time date format, so then I can match it to some helioscope data.
Nice.
And just had AI create me a bit of a web tool that can do that. And now I can, instead of me doing it manually in an Excel spreadsheet, it's 5 seconds.
And does it cost money to develop a web tool from it?
It depends on what you're using.
Yeah,
so
right.
we've played around with Claude AI and a bit of Microsoft's AI as well, Copilot.
Yeah, and then Gemini, obviously.
So there's a few different that we're playing around with. You can host web apps for free on some sites.
I didn't know that.
We're still playing around with it. So
because it's early days, isn't it? And these are tools that you're using to speed up certain things that you can do yourself, and just always as a check and go, hey, it's a really interesting area. I think, going back to this DC cabling, if you could have something that you type in or AC or DC cabling and it tells you, or let's go to AC cabling. Yes, what cable to use, what's the weight of the combined cable per meter.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a horizontal tray, at what point do I need support
for sagging?
Yeah. So, and then obviously stuff with trenching and how much stuff I can put in the conduit. And I mean, I know there's programs out there as well, but you have to pay a fair whack for them. It'd be nice to develop your own kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's sort of what we're aiming towards is, a lot of the automation and process is developing tools, and, it's taking the knowledge and experience from our head.
Yes.
And things in Excel most of the time, and it's going, all right, well, there's a more efficient way to do this.
Yes.
To reduce also the human error from a way as well. So that's sort of what we're focused on, as well as, sort of developing and training people and, our internal staff, putting them through the GSES courses, making sure they're SAA accredited, putting them through additional courses as well. We want to make sure that people are sufficiently trained and really invest in our employees as well. But
that's really
develop
good.
those internal tools.
You mentioned GSES.
Yep.
They're great.
They're awesome.
Their website is amazing for technical articles, and they really go above and beyond. They're probably one of the best, probably the best out there, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. And look, they obviously have Mindaro, which is a competitor of ours. But I chat to Chris, and we discuss different things and different technical challenges or what's going on. We really respect them. We think they're a leader in the industry. So, I think there's a great resource there. For GSES, a lot of their website articles are for our engineers too, and go, hey, have you checked out the GSES website about this? It really clearly explains it really well. We have their textbooks in our office.
Yep.
It's like, hey, refer to chapter 12.
Yeah,
and it's an awesome thing that they've done for the industry.
No, they're my hat off to them. A few of our guys have done the Grid Connect course, and I think the battery course through them as well. And they've all said how thorough they are.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's too. It's this. We're living in an age where there is this continuous professional development. With doing courses, learning, and it seems. Maybe I'm biased, but it seems a lot more than a lot of other industries. Now, I don't know about the pharmaceutical industry or stuff like that. I'm sure they have twice as much, but it seems that we have a lot of standards. We have guidelines. We have CPD points that we have to, follow and all of that stuff. It's a pretty. We're lucky we're in a pretty interesting industry, aren't we?
Oh yeah, and
it's weird though. It's a weird industry.
It's a fun industry. Yeah. Look, I think all the CPD requirements are fairly reasonable.
I totally agree.
With the CPEng sort of accreditation, it's 50 hours annually, or it might be 100. No, it's 50 hours annually audited every 5 years.
This is for the
this is for certified professional practicing engineer,
right?
Sort of side of things, which is accredited through Engineers Australia. So that it's a certification that's mostly for building new construction.
I was going to ask what it's for. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I know in Queensland that we spoke off camera about
RPEQs,
RPEQ, and that's a requirement.
Yeah,
which we don't have in Victoria.
Victoria does have RPEV, so I'm RPEV, and then a nationally registered engineer and NER as well.
Right.
So they have those requirements, but a lot of the time it's not a strict requirement on some of the PV installs. But it depends on the client. Melbourne Airport, for example, you need to be have someone sign off as a NEV.
Wow.
So any job. So we supported the urban surf side of things. So having to get that signed off by and RPEV was one of the requirements for that. So there's sort of, it comes up. ACT has one. I've registered with them. So a lot of the states have one. So RPEQ in Queensland, ACT and Victoria. South Australia is introducing one, and New South Wales is introducing
one as well.
And I believe WA have one as well. Yeah. So it is coming. I think there is probably going to be a more stringent, registered engineer having to sign stuff off eventually.
There should be, really.
Yeah.
It's bloody electrical. I always say, this stuff can kill you,
Yeah, and look, I think because it's to prescriptive standards, electricians can obviously sign it all off. I think when it gets to the large-scale commercial side of things, there probably will eventually be a requirement for engineers and an engineering sign-off for formal work. It's large-scale construction, considered a brownfield and a brownfield addition a lot of the time, but when you're talking about these big megawatt, side of things, and it probably should have a registered engineer sign off the structural and the electrical design.
Absolutely. Do you offer protection studies and stuff like that to your customers?
Yeah, so typically we'll work with a switchboard manufacturer for those sort of side of things. So we can do it internally. We typically like to work with someone like a Greenwood or a CTC for these protection studies and discrimination studies, and switchboard manufacturers specifically. We'll design the system, spec the breakers, do these sort of things. But when it comes to the discrimination and protection studies, if you're the switchboard manufacturer, the KA ratings, the breaker settings and sizes.
Absolutely.
We can do it, but we would prefer that, if you're working and designing the switchboard, that you guys are designing it compliantly.
Absolutely.
We'll provide you all the information, all the upstream breakers, cable sizes and details, set points.
Yep.
But that's our approach, is to work with the people who are building the switchboards, who have
that
been
makes
engaged,
sense. Yeah.
And that's we can do it, and we've done it before. But it makes a lot more sense when you're delivering and developing these switchboards, and it's a switchboard related thing, protection.
Yeah, totally.
And that's a responsibility. So we'll typically work with a Greenwood or a CTC or someone alike to get that done and help them in sort of delivering that scope of works.
Now, some personal stuff, but hobbies. We know, obviously, snowboarding.
Yep.
And it's specifically snowboarding, not skiing.
I do both.
Oh, you do both?
Both. Yep.
Wow. Because most people either do one or the other, don't they?
Yeah. When I was in Japan, my partner said it's time to snowboard. So she's a keen snowboarder.
Yeah, cool.
And I went, great idea. Sounds good. So got pushed down a couple of slopes, and that was great fun.
Did you skateboard as a kid?
Skateboarded, longboarded, surfed.
Yeah.
So,
right. So you aren't,
So I do a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
but it sort of harps back to the creative and the controlled left side, right side of my brain, that I do something a bit weird with my surfing and my snowboarding.
What do you mean?
Well, I surf regular footed, but I snowboard goofy.
Goofy foot.
Yeah. Which is...
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I skateboard goofy, but
Wow.
I'm left-handed but play tennis right-handed, and so I sort of have this, weird left side, right side of my brain.
You must have a very balanced brain.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think so, yeah.
That's really cool. It's funny, I'm right-handed, but if I played cricket and I did as a kid, I bat right-handed, but when I've picked the bat up and put it into a left-hand stance, I feel more powerful.
Yeah.
And when it comes to taps, turning them off and on, I'm left-hand.
Yeah.
It's...
Because I used to, growing up, eating a meal, depending on the meal, I'd switch the knives and forks over.
Wow.
And I'd go, actually it feels better left-hand knife this time, or I don't do it anymore, but I remember as a kid.
You see, you almost... I don't think anyone's perfectly ambidextrous.
No.
But you are pretty ambidextrous.
Fairly ambidextrous, yeah.
Kicking, what about kicking?
Kicking, yeah, I'm okay. Definitely
wow.
dominant on the right foot, but yeah, I would say I'm relatively ambidextrous, which is always good fun. But yeah, definitely a few hobbies. My friends always sort of laugh and go, oh, "What don't you do?"
Well, give us an example apart from the yes,
surfing, skiing,
yes,
snowboarding, bit of bouldering at the moment, so climbing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, indoor climbing, which is great fun. Play a bit of golf, run. Love watching a bit of F1. I've gotten into a bit of Magic the Gathering recently, which is a card game, tabletop card game.
Oh.
Sort of like a Pokemon or a Yu-Gi-Oh! Or that sort of thing.
Okay.
It's been around for 30 years. Used to play it when I was 10, and then some mates of mine, probably about a year and a half ago, were like, oh, we're getting back into this game. So that's been really fun. But yeah, sort of, we were playing netball. Have stopped that now.
Oh, bad on your knees.
Yeah, tough. Yeah, we had a few people that injured themselves.
Fair enough, but the netball, when that stop, it's not good for you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they sort of, a lot of our friends go, what don't you do? You know, my partner loves a lot of great activities and does a lot of these things with me. And so Saturday night last week, we did line dancing. We did a hoedown. At the Fitzroy Town Hall with country struts. So do a little bit of everything and really enjoy outside of work. Sort of hiking and going out and camping and
that's good.
Doing outdoor activities and sort of having that real balance with the lifestyle.
Because it's so important when you've got a sedentary job. And let's face it, you're talking about being in front of a computer, and humans aren't designed really to sit in the chair. We're not designed to sit down at all.
Yeah.
We're designed to walk 15, 20 Ks, looking across to see animals we want to kill and eat and animals who want to kill and eat us. So it's weird that in the last, 50, 60 years, let's say, that this...
We've all gone to the office,
Yeah, and so... doing those really physical things and having the time to think about, like bushwalking is a great one. I love that. I love it. I was going to ask you about golf. What's it with the golf like?
Well, we've got a golf sim at the office, the co-working space we're in, so that's a big distraction. But no, it's my parents love golf. Go down and play with them. Rowan's a really good golfer. He actually got a hole-in-one about 2 weeks ago. So we had that's
a once-a-lifetime thing, isn't it? That's amazing.
I don't think for him, he's a very handy golfer. So, but yeah, the golf, it's sort of that activity where you can go out with mates and you'll spend a few hours. I think it's the male equivalent for a lot of our friends of going on a nice walk.
Yeah,
we just need something to do with our hands.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it's a good time to catch up and hang out with mates and sort of spend that quality time and not just go to a pub and drink.
Yeah, I understand.
So I think it's a great opportunity for that. And then, my folks both play, and my partner, Shan, she plays as well. She used to play pennant golf, used to be off 12. So she smokes me every round.
Gotcha.
100%. Yeah.
It's a funny thing, golf, isn't it? Because you can hit at the ball really well and do a really great shot. It's just replicating it time and time. That's the hardest thing.
It's really tough. Yeah. And it's a focus, and you've got to be really focused along, 4 hours if you're playing 18, and it's hard. I get hangry at the 9, so I've got to have something to eat. Otherwise, I'm just shocking on the back
low
9.
Blood sugar. Yeah. It's funny going back to when you're in Korea. Koreans are very good at golf, and I'm generalising here, and they are very good at any sport that requires accuracy. Archery and shooting, they are fantastic. They're well known for it. And it's probably got something to do, again, generalising of this ability to concentrate. You really have to be right there 100%.
Yeah, dedicated and focused and really put your mind to it, yeah.
It's a game I've played a couple of times when I was young, but when I get older, I think I'll give it a go. I like the idea.
Yeah.
Do you play like pool or snooker or billiards or anything like that?
Yeah, if there's a pool table around, I have been known to play a fair bit. Me and my partner occasionally will go to the Red Triangle in Fitzroy, and we're both very competitive, so we'll play 15 to 20 games of just back and forwards.
Pool or
just pool. Just pool. So it's always good fun. All those
it's a
sort of
great
games.
game.
Yeah.
And you played badminton, you said, in Korea.
Yeah, I played for the international team, which was called PUD International, which was play until death. So I don't know who came up with that name, but look, any racket sport. I played a lot of tennis growing up as well. So
You would have a decent serve. You got the height.
yeah, look, the serve when I didn't have the yips, it was all right. It could be pretty big and pretty good weapon, but look, badminton was just one of those opportunities to just meet people and just play a bit of a different sport.
It's a great game. Yeah, we've got it at home. We've set it up in the shed, and my daughter and I play a bit, and I really like it. Yeah, it's you can whack that thing pretty hard, but then there's this time slows down as it drifts over, unless you're smashing down. It's a really good game, and have to be very flexible too, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you realise, you sort of go, it'd be pretty easy, and then people start whacking at you and you go, this is not as easy as I thought.
No,
so it's very dexterous, a lot of skill, a lot of sort of sprinting and agility for it. So love lots of different sports and just give me something a crack. Yeah, I would play a bit of futsal over in South Korea, played sort of 11-a-side football in high school. I played AFL and then switched to soccer for the final couple of years of high school. So I've sort of, I don't know, just like giving anything a crack, really. Sort of give it a go and you'll be right.
I think if you're well coordinated and you understand the essence of the game you're involved in, it's very easy to translate to another game.
Yeah.
I have to admit, personally, I played a bit of sport. I found cricket the hardest. Batting. The ball can, curve through the air, hit the pitch, and then cut away. There's nothing else like that. Like baseball, yes, you can throw a curveball, but not curving, hitting, and moving away.
Yeah.
Really hard game.
Yeah, well, it's probably the one sport that I've just never taken to. So
yeah, it's a weird game too. My wife just constantly goes, why would you play a game? The test.
The 5 days.
For 4 or 5 days. With renewables, where do you see it going in the next 5 or 10 years? I mean, hey, I ask a hard question, right? Because it's things are changing so much. So what do you reckon? What's going to happen?
Yeah, look, I think you can look to some of the AMO's ISP, so the Integrated System Plan of where it's going to go. It's a guide. It hasn't been right in the past. You look back at the early ISPs and the uptake of solar, and what it actually was double to triple what their sort of results were. And I think we're going to keep seeing that really strong hockey stick growth for renewables. There's obviously a clear focus on batteries as well.
Yes.
That the government has come out, and with the federal battery rebate, we don't see a massive uptake. There's 3-4 million homes with solar now. We're going to start seeing homes with batteries get up towards that million mark pretty quickly, I would say. So I think that's going to be a massive uptake on the residential side. People love having their energy independence, love having their batteries, love not paying energy bills. So you don't see a big shift in the market as well towards probably Amber is come out as a major player and being able to trade on the VPP on spot market and make your energy a lot smarter from a home perspective. And then from a commercial perspective, I think you're going to keep seeing large warehouse systems. People are starting to integrate these larger batteries where it makes sense. I think Transgrid has just come out with a 50 gigawatt battery tender, looking at sort of storage to help their network. So I think your networks are going to start getting a lot of battery integration, looking at what they're doing, looking at how they're going to stabilize the system. So I think it's going to be really interesting. EVs. Massive uptake.
Massive pressure on the grid too.
Yeah, a massive load, and it's something that we've done a few EV projects, and talking to some of the installation partners that we work with, go, it's just like a PowerPoint, you just plug it in here, but then going, have you considered the max demand of the site? What's going on the switchboard? Is this appropriate? Are you doing load management and control? How is this going to integrate? Is the chassis rated for this much load?
Well, we didn't even talk about that.
There's all of those aspects as well that, if you're doing it properly, it's upgrading probably the site feed and putting a new EV switchboard in. If you want to do it at a good cadence, you're seeing the infrastructure change that's going to be needed in the next 5 to 10 years is massive. And I think that's a really key aspect of what's going on is the infrastructure behind it. You look at, the goals to have buses, a good example, electrification of buses. A lot of your bus depots at the moment, they might have a 63 amp main switch, but they want a megawatt worth of charging.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because all they need to do at the moment is an office, some lights, and maybe a gurney to wash down the buses, and that's about it.
Yeah, right.
So you look at the major infrastructural shift that's going to have to occur with all these sites, and they'll go, okay, well, we can put in, maybe the network will allow us to have a 500 kVA transformer, but we need a megawatt of power. So are we going to do batteries, solar, integration? How's that going to work? We need to have these sort of big peak demands, and how are we going to have that shift and work all together? So there's a lot of complex problems.
There is.
But I think there'll be a lot of unique and different solutions, and it'll be a combination of technology. I don't think there's ever going to be one technology that will solve it all.
I agree. What also throws not a spanner in the works, but I can't think of a better term, is ESG and carbon accounting, scope 1, 2 and 3, and the requirements for certain businesses once they're doing if they've got a parent company, effectively there's going to be these not caveats. There's going to be restrictions on what they can do based under that particular mantle. I'm seeing that with what my wife does, but it's exciting times. But I agree, there should always be Plan B, a contingency plan, and as we've said, electrifying everything, and that's the way it's going. It's going to put a massive strain on a system that's not fully designed to do that, and that's hopefully where storage will come in to smooth that demand.
And I think there's a big play for efficiency as well.
Oh, come on.
I
agree.
And
but no one talks about treading lightly though, Ed. That's the thing.
Yeah, when I was sort of Prana and Bunjil, I did do a bit more technical sales and client-facing work, and I would continuously be like, well, you could also look at energy efficiency and actually reduce your load, which, as someone who's trying to sell solar and sell more solar,
this is the thing,
counterintuitive. Yes. But that's my engineering and logical sort of brain and sustainability side of things that kicks in with, you don't need to produce as much solar if you don't use as much energy.
Absolutely.
And so looking at efficiency of homes, looking at sort of that side of things of businesses, how you operate, you can really, really maximize the benefit of the renewables and what you're doing, 100%. Shifting loads. Easy, low impact generally.
Absolutely.
Okay, do we not take a lunch break at exactly midday? Do we shift it 1 hour so we can, maximize, or do we do, a shift that finishes at 10 a.m., then starts at 3 p.m., or however you end up doing it, and sort of shifting around things, and, then starting to have smarter appliances in your home that, will turn on when the solar is at its peak.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to set my washing machine to go, but it'll actually turn on in an hour's time if I've got it on the energy saving mode or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
It's connected to the CTs around the main switch, and it can understand when I'm actually exporting energy. And go,
absolutely.
Great, turn on time.
And it ties into the irradiation meter saying we've got good sunshine for the next 5 or 6 hours, hopefully, and off we go. It's a really interesting area. One question I want to ask is this. Batteries. Do you think, because batteries are coming down so cheaply, in the domestic sense and commercially, do you think, combined with a reduction in energy consumption, treading more lightly, that we're at the stage, or we'll get to the stage where people potentially domestically will go off grid? Because I reckon
we're close. I think with batteries in your cars for EVs, if you have plugged in vehicle to grid, essentially they will start treating the grid as a battery. So only using the grid when they actually need it, when there's no sun and you don't have enough storage and you want to charge everything up. So I think there will eventually come a point where most homes are effectively off grid, and the connection to the grid is only to make it So in case of worst emergency,
Yes.
you have power and treating the grid as a battery.
So ideally,
in that
you're just paying the service charge with a little bit of consumption.
Yeah.
I think you're right, and this can only occur, one, if battery energy density becomes battery efficiency becomes better, prices per kilowatt hour delivered becomes lower, and reduced consumption. But I've been thinking about this for a while. It's I think it's pretty exciting.
I think we're almost there.
Yeah.
I think it still is probably a little while off.
Yeah.
Because I think with the electrification, the time of use of energy is still for residential.
Correct.
It's still in the morning and at night.
Well, and we can't. It's hard to change that. Like we get up in the morning and we go to work and have to do all that. Yeah, exactly.
And,
we have these peaks in the morning and the afternoon. It's not like the commercial sector where you can get, for instance, refrigeration situation where you've got pretty flat profiles, apart from a little bit more during summertime during the day because it's hotter. But it's a refrigerated factory site.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of engineering companies too. A peak in the morning, everything gets turned on.
Yeah.
Ideally not at the same time, but and then it levels out, and then So domestic's different. Working from home though has changed that to a certain degree, and there's still obviously a lot of people working. I work from home 50% of the time, and I love it for many reasons. But that will change. So it's all connected, isn't it? With all this,
and I think there's a shift. I think we're close to getting there, and I think the rebate definitely has sparked a big influx of batteries, and that'll put downward pressure on price with more stock coming into Australia, and competitiveness between batteries. I'm hearing from a lot of people that it's just hard to get batteries at this stage.
Right.
Stock is, at a limited supply for certain suppliers. And, they're waiting for containers to come in because they're just flying off the shelves for all the systems that have been sold. So, I think we're still a little while away, but we're getting closer and closer. My older sister, I just helped her out with a solar system for her home. I think she ended up getting a 6 kilowatt system with 15 kilowatt hours worth of storage.
Yeah, right. Which would have been unheard of even just a year ago.
A couple of years ago.
Exactly.
It would have been $40,000 or something.
That's exactly right.
They got a great price from one of the clients we work with. But look, it's definitely something that it's more feasible. And they had one bill in winter that was $600, and they went,
look at this.
Can we wipe this out? I went, yeah, probably.
Wow.
So, I think home electrification and it's going to be massive. And,
huge.
Efficiency plays a big part. I don't think people shouldn't forget that.
They shouldn't. But the problem is the houses aren't built very efficiently, and like compared to a world scale, like a 6 or 7 star house in Europe is a joke. But a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
I wanted to sort of finish off with this question about nature and nurture. Is an engineer born, or is an engineer created? Is it nature or nurture to be a good engineer?
I think you've got to have the mindset and problem solving, I think, to be a good engineer.
Yep.
So I think it's a little bit of nature. I think you definitely can learn it, but I think the good engineers it comes to naturally.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yes.
So there's a lot that can be taught, but I think it's a general grasping of concepts and the ability to just sort of pick something up. And I think you are born with a natural ability to explore things, and I think engineers are really good at exploring things in a way that you're not afraid to go, okay, well, what happens if on your old VCR recorders or something like that, I'll touch this button, and growing up it's like, oh, mum and dad go, I don't know how the DVD player works, and I just go beep 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 beep, and you just press all the buttons until you worked it out. I think that sort of exploratory nature is something that's just you grow up with. I don't think you're taught. My parents are medical, have nothing to do with engineering. I don't think they would have taught me how to pull apart my toys.
No, not at all.
I think you're sort of born with a curiosity to how life works in general and how things work. So I think it's a more nature with nurture along the way. I think from early days you sort of go, oh, he's
probably don't be an engineer, but it takes then the nurture of that curiosity to sort of come through, and the support of a lot of people to sort of develop into an engineer. And I think the support systems that you develop to get through your engineering degree as well are hugely important. You know, I had a really good, range of friends. They're doing some pretty amazing stuff now that we all would go to the library and help each other on assignments, and that sort of more nurture side and that support mechanism that you have from people, because it's bloody hard.
So I've been told.
Yeah,
wow.
Definitely.
All right, well, mate, thank you very much for coming along.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We've talked about a range of things, and it's I think we've covered nearly everything I wanted to cover.
Yeah, definitely.
Like any of these conversations could go on ad
Could keep
infinitum,
going,
but we'll call it a day, and thanks
Awesome.
very much. Cheers.
Thanks for having me.